your self-appraisal, and 5 team reviews all under 2 hours. Here's the workflow. It's performance review time and you are staring at the screen wondering why is AI giving you such generic output which sounds like an HR manual, because you write that this person has done fabulous job and has consistently been a team sport, and then the review that's coming out is so generic. Well, that's exactly what happens because AI doesn't really have anything to work with. Let me show you a live example. So, look at my prompt. I said, write a performance review for someone who consistently demonstrated strong performance in cross functional collaboration. Okay, it is super HR manual style, and when I write this, the review that I'm going to get is definitely going to be as generic. It just says consistently demonstrated strong performance. They worked effectively with multiple teams, maintained clear communication. I don't even feel like reading this honestly because it looks like such a corporate manual answer that is just too boring. Now, let's look at another prompt which is slightly more descriptive and see the difference. Let me paste this, which is something that I prepared already. And here is the details. So we said they have delivered 23% above the revenue target in a quarter where 2 key vendors dropped out mid-project and the timeline was cut by 2 weeks. Look at the specificity and now look at the answer. It says midway through the project, 2 key vendors were dropped, timeline reduced. They responded with strong problem solving, adaptability, clear decision making under pressure, realigned stakeholders, identified solutions. Of course, I still feel the language and the tone could have been more conversational or less corporate-y, but do you see the difference? Here they have literally mentioned everything, all the hurdles that they overcame, and here it is as generic as effectively managed teams. So this just tells us that the better quality input you give, the better quality output you'll get even for your reviews. So here's how we can use it for all the team member reviews and then for our self review as well, or self appraisal as well. Before we move ahead, here is something that you need to know. A good performance review does this one thing: it connects a specific behavior to a specific outcome for that person. Otherwise, it just becomes a job description. Notice this example where we said, write a performance review who demonstrated strong performance in cross functional collaboration. Okay, or I could as simply say, managed Q3 campaign. Now, managing Q3 campaign is a job description, but when I connect it, managed Q3 campaign which delivered 23% above revenue target in a quarter, and then add more details to that, that is the specific outcome of it, along with the obstacles that were overcome. So ensure that you do not just list the job description, but tie it to the outcome that the person in your team or you was responsible for. Let's start with your team review first, because I know it's difficult to write about yourself, and it also puts you in a right mindset when you start with the team and share the gratitude first. So here are the 3 steps that we will go through in this journey. Number 1 is data dump. Number 2 is output check, and number 3 is tone calibration. Let's do it one by one together. Number 1, data dump. All you have to do is just open a Google Sheet or Google Docs, Microsoft, whatever docs you work on, notes, anything works, and just dump everything that you know about this person that they have done in the past 6 or 12 months with the outcome in mind. And it's okay if you write rough. In fact, rough is better because then you're not really thinking about anything other than just focusing on what work they've done. So let me just go ahead and do it with you. So number 1 could be what we've already mentioned, 23% jump in target in Q3 campaign. Second could be managed over 5 clients during the peak season of festival time. Worked under tight deadline with a graphic designer quitting and not available for 3 weeks. Then I could also maybe mention something very casual that they've done, it could be as simple as ensured no follow up was needed from my end. Okay, so this is just like 4 points that I've mentioned, and you could just go on dumping everything that you know about this person, and then you just copy this dump, okay, copy and keep it, and then we go on our chat, and this time we paste something more before we paste that. So we will paste this first. I'm writing a performance review for, I don't know, just let's just name Shreya. Here's everything I've observed in the cycle, and now here is where we are going to paste the dump. Okay, so everything that we wrote, just copy, paste it here, and then you say write a review that leads with their biggest impact and backs it with specific examples and closes with a short note on development. Keep it professional, not generic. Okay, I enter, and now you see everything is so tailored. Every point that you'll read here, it is something that mentions all of it, like 23% increase in the target despite operational challenges. Busiest periods of the year, she managed over 5 clients simultaneously. What stood out was her ability to be dependable under pressure, because that's exactly what it is. You didn't need to follow up, and even when the graphic designer was unavailable, she ensured that the project was continuing. All of it, like everything that you see here is very much tailored. You write more, you write all the details, it will tailor all of it, right? So you do this for all 5 or 6 or whatever number of team members you have, and go through this data dump, and then finally paste it with uh, this little brief that was there on top. And then after that, we move to the next part, which is the output check. So now when you're doing the output check, when you do it for all 5 team members, here's what you need to remember. Ensure that none of the other team members have the same sentence which is swappable. So it can't be generic, it has to be specific to that person. If it is swappable, edit it or change it, and then check for the tone calibration. Now in this case, I could just say that, if something is getting repeated again and again. So okay, she maintained consistency in execution and communication. Okay, now here this part and the whole next paragraph is kind of repeated. So what I could do is just simultaneously through the festival season, and I'll put a full stop here, and then I will move on to the next one. It's basically a hygiene edit and also a tone check. If I want to make this more friendly or more conversational, I can add that and just say make this more conversational, and that's the answer. That's the approach that ChatGPT will take, and it will give you that kind of an answer. So you see, all of this is getting done so quickly when you just do the data dump and then give it all the information that is needed. So you can just later on paste all of these answers that you've got. So copy this, paste all the 5, and then ask ChatGPT, is anything mentioned here too generic, which is swappable with another team member? And then the final tone calibration. Congratulations, you've done the review for all 5 team members. Now we move to the self-appraisal part. For self-appraisal, the process or the steps are 3 again, but it's slightly different from the team review, which is first, of course, is the same, the data dump. Second is cultural calibration, and third is the impact line. We'll come to it one by one. So when I say data dump, it's the same process, which is why I've just kept something ready that you can always sit and put your head to whatever things you've done, the impact that you've created. Remember, not the job description, but what you've done above and beyond. So led the brand refresh project, and it took 4 months, and stakeholders were difficult, etc., etc. Also sometimes mention, like, missed the H1 content target by 15% because there was this bandwidth issue, or it was not flagged early on. Whatever it is, everything that was good and bad that was there in the review, because it shows your ownership. Write everything down, and I've just written a mix of everything for now. The other thing that is important, which is the step 2, when you're going and putting this in ChatGPT, you need to remember your cultural context. Are you working for an Indian organization? If the organization prefers more humility or more collaborative approach than just saying I did this, keep that in mind, because it can then backfire, and ChatGPT doesn't have any kind of cultural context, which is why you need to give that context to it. And finally, number 3, which is the impact line. We will come to that, but let's just look at this for now. So when you go to ChatGPT, type, this is my self-appraisal points. Frame my achievements with appropriate humility. Avoid the language that sounds very self-promotional. Write it in first person perspective and keep the tone collaborative wherever necessary. So we just copy this then and paste it up. Let's see what it comes up with. So notice how it starts with I had the opportunity to lead, not like I led. It says that you gave me the opportunity, right? So it spanned over this and this. While there were challenges, I worked closely with the teams involved, so ensuring that you're giving that credit to them, and also saying that they managed to hand it over to the agency, etc., etc. And all of this is definitely keeping that in mind. If you still want more humility, you can always go back and forth and say that, can you make the achievements more subtle, or whatever you want. You can just add that and then ask ChatGPT to work according to that, and it will give you that answer. Now remember one thing, if you notice here, it has skipped, it's just mentioned like one area which could have been better is where I missed this 15% mark, which is good. Now something that was not mentioned here is you led the brand refresh project. It took 4 months and it was launched on time, but we did not show the impact created. So it's important to show the impact. Why I did this, it was on purpose, so that you remember, if you read something like this, it is not going to sit well with your manager, which is where the impact line comes in. If you did this, what was the business impact of it? So what happened when you did something is the question that you have to answer. I did this and this happened. I did this and that happened. So that happened, or the outcome, is something that you always have to feed in, which is missing in this case. Okay, so ensure that you go back to it and measure everything with an outcome, because your manager is going to read those numbers, or the measure or the time or the duration. Anything that has a number attached to it is something that registers very easily during self-appraisal, and then you can of course minorly tweak it, edit it, and get the final version ready for yourself. You have your team review and your self-appraisal all ready in under 2 hours, and none of them sound like it's a copy paste. Each of them is tailored and customized. If this helped, please subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.